This is an 87 Dodge Dakota, been converted to electric. You have to get in here now. You've got a Siemens Alice motor out of a high-low, 48 volts DC, weighs 254 pounds. It's got a female spline shaft. Gardner Gun Shop made me a spline adapter, so it's coupled directly to the 5-speed transmission. Doing it again in retrospect, I would put a clutch in just so you can keep your motor running at peak efficiency. It allows you to shift easier. I shift now, but it's a little trickier. According to Jim Husted on the internet, the Motor Wizard, this motor is probably capable of handling up to 156 volts. Right now we're running at 120, and we've advanced the brushes by moving the end plate about 8 degrees. Okay. This is the 1221C Curtis controller. The controller, the motor, main motor contactor, DC-DC converter all came off a heavy-duty 72 volt industrial tow truck. It also came with the electric foot pedal that I use inside to replace the accelerator. The Curtis is rated at 120 volts and about 400 amps max. I rarely see 400 amps, maybe a spike. 300 amps seems to be the most I can get out of it. And with that kind of power coming out and the weight of the truck and the batteries, I get maybe about 50 miles an hour maximum. Over here on the motor, main motor contactor, I have a power resistor that bleeds power into the Curtis at all times to keep the capacitors charged when the battery's connected. Over here we have power coming in from the battery pack through an 800 amp shunt for my amp meter inside the cab. Here's my disconnect switch. It's basically a fuse that I've had soldered to the tabs, and then I just have a copper jump bar between it. So that if I need to disconnect power any reason, I have a hard rod into the cab to pull the disconnect. Down here's a fuse for the whole operation, 400 amp fuse. Okay, down here. Okay, here we have the batteries. I have 3 in the front, 7 under the bed. These are a fiberglass matte AGM battery. They came out of a computer server, uninterrupted power supply. They were removed on scheduled replacement. And the rating on those is about 134 amp hours. That's a 20 amp rating. They're heavy. They weigh about 92 pounds apiece. I have room for an extra battery here in the front and place for 3 more batteries in the back currently under the bed. Put it down. Now we have what we call the Go Fast contactor. Basically, when the Curtis gets the truck up to speed, I disconnect the Curtis, hit the switch, energize this contactor, dumps full battery power into the motor, and I've gotten maybe 65 miles an hour out of this. I think the range on this at 65 would probably be 6-8 miles. Here you see the emergency pull off in case something happens. That was before I had my disconnect rod at the fuse. The Curtis does get very hot to the touch when it's running. Shows you there is some wasted energy there. Here's my charger connection. Right now I have my battery charger in the bed. That'll be coming in a later video. That's a Bond Bad Boy charger. And I think that's it. This is my voltmeter up on the dashboard. Shows battery condition. Here we got our main contactor switch. That's the Go Fast button. Only push that if you want to go fast and get out of somebody's way. And you're moving before you push it. Over here we have an 800 amp meter. Come off of a welder. And the shunt for it came off the welder. And my compass. Nice little 11 ball knob because it matches the color of the truck. And here we got a nice red knob over here. And that's the emergency disconnect. If all else fails, pull the plug.